Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I be to our lecturer, Dr. Nohani, and my fellow classmates. I am Rosilia Natasha, will present on the abstract for our case study, the introduction for our case study, and the background of the article that we have chose for our case study. But first, let me introduce to you my group members.
Hi, I'm Natalie and I will discuss about issues.
Assalamualaikum and hi to Madam Nohani and my friends. My name is Noor Ashiki. Today, I would like to present the solution and justification for those issues.
For this case study, we are required to choose an article regarding the current economy issue in Malaysia that are related to our syllabus. So, based on our article, we will discuss on the current issues of Malaysia's economic crisis due to the global pandemic, which is COVID-19, that has widely affected the economic growth for every nation across the globe. We are going to discuss the main issues and problems arise from it. Then we will also discuss on several implementations of monetary policy to overcome those issues. Moving on to the introduction for our case study. What is M3? M3 is the broadest measure of the domestic money supply and is the total value of money available in an economy at a point of time. M3 includes M2 as well as large time deposits, institutional money market funds, short-term repurchase agreements, and larger liquid assets. The growth of money supply is important, where the size of money supply and the rate at which it is growing will have a significant impact on economic well-being of the country. For this case study, the article stated that the growth of M3 was moderate and it was due to the current global pandemic. Current global pandemic that we are facing today is COVID-19. COVID-19 was first discovered on late December of 2019 in Wuhan, China. Ever since that, the number of people who are suffering from COVID-19 has dramatically increased as there are still no cure for this virus. A person who carries the virus can spread to another person through water secretion, that is through cough or sneeze. In Malaysia, the case numbers was an inch of 22 cases in February. By mid-March, the cases has increased up to 428 cases in just less than a month. In order to break the chain, Malaysian authorities has implemented Movement Control Order (MCO) since 18 March 2020. Due to Movement Control Order (MCO), many people were badly affected. All of the gatherings were cancelled and all business operations were shut down. Due to the sudden closures, individuals and businesses are affected. Hence, they will be facing cash flow constraints as their source of income. Some of the workers will not be able to work in the office, some lost their monthly income, and some of the workers even lost their jobs. Now, we can clearly see that COVID-19 abroad and implementation of Movement Control Order (MCO) not only influence on our economy but also on our labor market. So, the issues that we are going to discuss is based on an article titled Money Supply Growth Eases in February. The article highlighted that Malaysia's total money supply, M3, grew at slightly slower starting February. That was due to slower deposits and lower external reserves. The article also mentioned the banking system's total deposit growth in February 2020 affected by Bank Negara's move to cut the statutory reserve requirement, SRR, in November 2019. Besides, the article mentioned about lower external reserves at end February, which were also a drag on M3. This was believed due to the net capital outflows indicated by foreign net sale of equities and bonds. And then the article also mentioned that the trends in money supply, deposit, and credit growth is expected to be volatile, even divergent, and there are three factors that are expected to influence them. Firstly, the liquidity impact from 100 basis points SRR cut in March. Secondly, the negative economic impact due to COVID-19, which has resulted in closures of non-essential businesses. And lastly, the Prihatin Rakyat Economic Stimulus Package. The stimulus package worth 250 billion ringgit that is provided as a cash aid during MCO, and 6-month loan repayment moratorium that worth 100 billion ringgit, which is also part of the stimulus package, is predicted to affect banking system's loan growth in the future. Lastly, the article also commenting on consumer credit data, where household loans approval increased by 16.8% year-on-year in February. Meanwhile, passenger vehicle loans approval also increased by 22.2% year-on-year in February. For the discussion on issues, I will pass it to Natalie.
Thank you, Rosilia. And now I will talk about the issues. According to Investopedia, money supply growth is important for economic development of a country and for it to achieve price stability in the economy. A decrease in money supply leads to two problems, which are decrease in consumer spending and increase in unemployment rate. Consumer spending is one of the most important driving forces for a country's economic growth. When the government imposed the movement control order due to COVID-19 pandemic, many business activities are badly affected and halted because of the restriction. People are working from home or not working during MCO. Thus, they have less income than before. The decrease in disposable income of consumers will affect on the decrease of purchasing power. When the purchasing power decrease, it will decrease the consumer spending. Unemployment rate is defined as the share of the labor force that is jobless, expressed as a percentage. During MCO, many people were exposed to risk of unemployment and work loss because part of them were unable to work or run their business. Many businesses shut down during this pandemic, which leads to decrease in business activity. When business activities decrease, the demand for labor will decrease. Hence, this will result to increase in unemployment rate. Now, I will pass to Nur Ashikin.
Thank you, Natalie. The first point of the solution is moral suasion. What is moral suasion? Moral suasion refers to a method by the central bank to persuade or convince the commercial banks to advance credit in accordance with the directive of the central in the economic interest of the country. For the slower deposit issue, central bank should encourage bank to loosen up the policies to consumer. Lower loan will be granting consumer access to more funds. Hence, this will increasing the purchasing activities in the economy. The second point is open market operations, buying of short-term bonds. Open market operation is buying and selling of government securities by the central bank. This is to influence the cash reserve in commercial bank. For this issue, the central bank will purchase securities from a bank and pays for the securities. This increases the amount of money in the banking system and lower the interest rate. This stimulates the economy by increasing business and consumer spending because banks have more money to lend and interest rates are lowered. The third solution is a decreased reserve requirements. Since the issue is M3's growth slower due to low external reserve, the central bank lowers the RR to increase banks' ability to create credit by reducing the percentage of reserve required from deposits.
A decrease in reserve requirement would free up money for banks to make more loans and would increase money multiplier. This causes the money supply increase. Hence, lower reserve requirement encouraging the bank to offer more loans to the public and businessmen. For instance, when central bank decrease the reserve ratio, it lowers the amount of cash that banks are required to hold in reserve. It is allowing them to make more loans to consumer and businesses, such as business loan, personal loan, and vehicle loan. This increases the nation's money supply and expands the economy. The last solution for this issue is a decrease in interest rate. Interest rate is a quantitative policy that the central bank sets in order to influence the evolution of the main monetary variables in the economy. Lower rates decrease the cost of borrowing and encourage consumer and businessmen to spend and invest. This is because the central bank will persuade commercial banks to lower their interest rate on deposits. Hence, this could lead to deposit growth and decrease unemployment. For the conclusion, I will pass it back to Natalie.
To conclude, Malaysia are having a bad economic situation due to COVID-19, where the M3 is disturbed by the inevitable pandemic. Thus, the government and central bank have to focus on implementing the suitable expansionary monetary policy to overcome the economic crisis, as it can improve the money supply and the economic growth of Malaysia. Stay safe and stay at home. That's all from our group. Thank you.